please give a warm welcome to writer, director Hikari.
You guys make me cry.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Thank you. Wow, full house. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Thank you for being here,
Oh my
Hikari. What a
God.
lovely film.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And it's like, what, Tuesday night?
It's a Tuesday
I hope you guys
night.
got babysitters.
This is a cinephile crowd.
Yeah, I can tell. Thank you.
Speaking of lovely, there's something
Yeah.
subtle and beautiful that I notice in your film that you use color to shift the tones in the film. You know, his
Yeah.
apartment is all blues, and then
Right.
we slowly start seeing color creeping in. You know, tell us
Yeah.
about that usage.
Sure. I come from, I've done a lot in my past lives. I feel like I used to do study art in undergrad, and I love oil paintings, and so color is always very important to me. It's such a beautiful part of filmmaking, I think, and so for me was to create. How can I create Philip's emotional journey through color? Right, so let's say starts really blue because he's a little bit isolated. And then also kind of giving a hint of what's about to come. Because when he meets Kikuo at the end of the journey, he ends up going to the ocean. So I kind of intentionally placed blues, hues, tones, colors, production design through just costumes, etc. Just very subtle. Just planted it all the places. Like when you look at the first fake funeral, you see, yeah, people are laughing. Yeah, I know. It's a good one, right? We have this, it's called Kujira. It's called a Kujira mak, which is like there's all these lines. There's a little tapestry inside of the funeral place. That's a very traditional thing that we have. We use black and white, or red and blue. And so I picked blue. To just kind of shows what's about to come, maybe presenting the world of where he's heading to. And then when he meets girl, we start putting a little bit more color into his
And there's
apartment.
almost like a rainbow. I notice a rainbow.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Thank you for noticing that. So yeah, and just like her existence, he's basically living the life that he never expected to have. At one point, he wanted to be a father. I'm sure he wanted to get married, and that was all he wished to have, and that didn't happen. But then when he started meeting all these characters, just start putting a little bit color into his life. And there's one point, he's at the museum, and there's ocean. I don't know, he comes out of the from the main room in the hallway, and there's the wave in the background, but there's a little butterfly flying in the, I don't know if you notice it. So that's also representing both Kikuo and then the little girl. And we just happened to find this from Digital Museum, so we picked that
on the
spot.
same vein, you balance so much in this film. You know, you balance Western and Eastern cultural perspective. You also, I notice how you balance between how frenetic the city can be, but also
Right.
you found moments of tranquility in the city as well.
Yeah.
You know, tell us about that dichotomy that you were balancing.
Sure. Has anybody been to Japan before? Ooh, wow, a lot of people. This is probably the biggest class that has Japanese experience. So when you go to Tokyo, it's as crazy as it is. You're in Shinjuku, Shibuya, just people just crashing at you, right? But then when you go into just outside of Shibuya or any places, that it just becomes so quiet. And there's shrines, there's beautiful parks, and you'd be surprised how less people in those areas. And so for us, I mean, for me, I'm Japanese. I'm from Osaka, though, so I didn't grow up in Tokyo. So just going to places like that, I always find a spot of kind of a place where I can just be very quiet. Like my mind can be just very still. and be able to focus and really reflect, what my life, place like Shrine too. So I wanted the audience, to experience that. So how do I balance it? I don't know. It's like I dance too, so like it's kind of like a choreography. You just do the dance and you move and you have the still moment and you bring it back again. And I don't know. It's just like there's a balance that I really enjoy
Which also
doing.
made me think about there's comedic and warm moments, but then there's also drama, and you shift amongst those tones seamlessly. Was that a difficult task?
Well, I tend to do a lot of those. I didn't really, no, actually, not really. I think my focus when I write script or when I direct, it's all about characters, right? So whatever the person's journey is, I did a show called SBIFF, and that is a crazy show as well. Thank you. But that SBIFF itself is also very dramatic, but it's also kind of like fucked up, right? Like all these crazy people coming together and just So, but it's really, and the individual characters are really living in, like, they are so in that moment, right? They're doing what's right for them in that moment. And same thing with Philip. Even though Philip is doing a lot of things that he's not supposed to do, perhaps, but he's so 100% invested in it. He's so in it, and so is everybody else too. So, and then, when those characters like the Aiko and the Kota and the Tada shows up as a fake lawyer, because they're so there to help Philip. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's I think it's fun to do this, and I know it's a little bit different. It's not just one tone, but there's fun in that I like.
Speaking of the script, I'm used to seeing films about fish out of water, foreign or in a foreign country, but then the locals come across sometimes as stereotypes, and your I'm thinking of Tada, the owner of the agency, and his co-workers. It's very nuanced. We get to, tell us about the importance of including and fleshing them out.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for that question. So there's a lot of it. When you look at it, it's just, it's a story in Japan about, white guy, Caucasian guy, American guy living in Tokyo. But really, every character kind of represent parts of us in a way, and I was hoping that you guys, audience, will find you in whoever the character you're watching, or there's a parts that you resonate. For example, Philip is kind of fish out of water, but he's also somebody who's really trying to adapt the culture, be very respectful, and just really learn how to be, just exist in this environment. And when you look at somebody like Aiko, she's somebody, to me, is a representation of somebody who perhaps may had a bad experience in the past and who's really trying to stand up for herself, right? And then she does. And that's something that I really want anybody to say, if you are going through some hard stuff at work or wherever, then just really stand up for yourself, right? Just know is enough is enough. And by her doing so, her boss, Tada, is also affected, and he just kind of see the life as like, oh wow, I should really listen to what my coworker, my employees are saying. So it was for me just kind of passing on the baton to say what goes to next and who carries that button, and decide what's right for that person in that moment, and choosing that, making the choice in life. You know what I'm saying? So
correct.
Took us a little bit to figure out what's the fine balance, how much is good, how much is enough, how much is too less. So we played a lot in script portion, we played a lot in editing as well, and just tested out a lot what works the best.
When did you find out about this rent-a-family, which is a real thing, and it's been happening since the 80s in Japan?
Yeah.
When did you...
So it was during I think a little bit before pandemic, my co-writer, Stephen, was looking for, or just kind of randomly looking for a job for American people to do in Japan. And he found that there is a cuddling service. That's number one. And there's like, English teacher, translator, a butler cafe when people dress up like a butler and serve tea to Japanese people, just random jobs. And then this was one of them. Rental family was one of them. Mm-hmm. And when he found out, he came up to me and said, "Hey, do you know anything about this rental family?" And I was like, "What is rental family?" And I had no idea. I'm Japanese. I didn't know anything about it. So as I dig in, I was like, "Oh, yeah, we do have something similar. There's a renting girlfriend, renting a wise gentleman to give me advice." But rental family itself is something that, you really literally can rent and request actors to play the brother, whoever you want. And there's something, I don't know, there's something both a little sad, because sometimes people say that this person wants to face the reality, right? But then there's actually a very, the connection, right? And the community that exists now because of this business. And so when we were researching for this, and my question was like, why this business exists? Why in Japan? Like, who does this job? Who works for this company? Who owns this company? So as I was going through, as me and Stephen was working through, in the research process, we just find out there's such a phenomenon that happens that it's just really the found family aspect of it, even though you're not related. There's a group of people that really connects, and they also, almost all of them just don't really quite have a good relationship with their own family. And but after talking to them, I was like, it's okay. Like, you guys finding people that you feel very connected to, like your best friend, your coworker, your neighbors, right? You see them every day. Those guys become your best friends, and those become your family. But the importance of having eye-to-eye connection and just really connecting that's something I think we needed very much, more so than ever. And when we were talking about, pandemic, when we were thinking about the story, pandemic, if you remember, we didn't know when it was going to end. It felt like we're so divided at that time. Yeah. So for us, how can I bring the people together, through story and just let them know that everything's going to be okay. And that was kind of...
I was reading about you, and you came to the U.S. as a 17-year-old to study. Yeah. And I was just wondering if you found that, connection to Philip, but it's a reverse. Yeah. It's an X-ray.
Yeah, totally. So I came here when I was 17, and I landed in Utah. That's right, I was the only Asian girl. And at the time, the first week when I didn't speak a word of English, so I was very isolated, I felt lonely, but at the same time, the people I met, like the girlfriends and people who just became such a close friend of mine, and they're still to this day my dear friends that I can call them family. That whole experience was so beautiful that I was like, oh, what if we just flipped the idea? Would you say, Roger? It's, he's somebody who just really wants to learn about the culture, and he just got himself into Japan because he got a toothpaste ad job. But, those are kind of like whatever happens, he's put into this world. So, I just wanted to see what it looked like.
And where did the inspiration of the fact that it's a young girl who needs a father?
Yeah, that's actually kind of me. It's based on roughly inspired from my own experience.
Your mother lied to you?
My mom was a liar. She lied to me all the time. Well, not that bad way, but she told me, I didn't know, I thought my father was dead, because that's what my mom told me. And then when I was 7 years old, I was jump roping outside of my house, and this woman walked up to me and said, "You know where your dad went?" I said, "He's dead." She said, "No, he left you for another woman." No, it's funny. It's okay. It's okay. You can laugh. It's okay. And I went home, and I was like, "Mom, she told me she's dead." And she's like, "Oh, fine. Well, sorry, I lied. He's your dad." And she pointed at the television, and there's a very handsome actor, actually look like you, Roger. And he's like, he's your dad. And I believed her.
Like, so that was also an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's
that,
okay,
that wasn't your dad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then I find out that he was half American, half Japanese. There's nothing half in me. I was like, liar. Yeah, but it's, when you're a single parent, and I was very much raised by my mom. She's hustling, she's doing everything to protect, to put the food in my mouth, right, my sister, and just working nonstop. And the way she described, and it made total sense. I was 7, but she was like, "Are you happy with me? Are you happy with your grandparents? Are you happy with your sister? Am I giving you enough love?" And I said, "Of course, Mm-hmm. And she just says, maybe your dad wasn't the nicest man at the time. So maybe if you want to see him, we can figure out. But like, I don't know, I don't know if you want to see him." And I was like, I'm happy. And she's also was like, if I'm not giving you enough love, then let me know, because I'll have to work on myself. And I just never questioned after. I was like, all right, cool. I don't need a dad. I have my mom, Yeah. And she continues to lie a little bit, but, that's how she is. I love her to death.
I want to go back to something that you mentioned, which is about the family we build around ourselves. And in the script is so beautifully written. Phil finds he doesn't have a father, and he ends up with a father figure, and then he doesn't have a daughter. He ends up with a daughter, and then all his friends in the office become part of his family. Tell us about, it's done very quietly, it's done very subtly, but you build the family around him. Tell us about writing that.
Sure. So as I said, it was during the pandemic, and we're figuring out, and as a lot of things happened in the world, including war to presidential, all this, I felt like its world is kind of getting a little bit divided, And for me, if that's what's happening, how can we shift our energy so that even though things gonna happen, there's no control, but how can we, through a story, we can connect everybody, through a story to, and I believe the reason why I wanted to become a filmmaker is because I think the movie really cinema has such a power, to change potentially people's perspective, or even just to give 2 hours of escape, right? You can get away from it and just really look at your life and appreciate what we have. And if not, the other way, then it's fine too. You're learning from something. And I find this as such a amazing tool. And I've done a lot of things in my life, and I became a filmmaker much later in my life, I guess. Went to film school in my 30s. And one thing I really wanted to do was just, again, how can I send a positive message? Just know that we're not alone, even though you may feel you're stuck. And when you're stuck, it's so hard to come out of it. But really, if you just take that first step, you can see yourself from a little bit above, you're gonna see different view in life. And that's something that I learned. And the decision we make every day I think that's part of the message for this movie too, is, we're all divine being, right? So you listen to your heart, you push forward through it, and even though you feel like you made a bad choice, but there you're actually learning something from it. And I just, whatever happens, then let's just learn from it and just grow from it. So, I don't know, I feel making movies, I don't know, for me, it was such a blessing and such a, I feel very privileged to tell a story like this.
And tell us about Brendan Fraser. How did it come about casting him and working with him?
Yeah. Brendan says hi. He wanted to be here, but he also had to be in LA, do his thing. He's at the party and talking to. So
that's
I got
all right.
on the
We
call
have
and
you.
came. Okay, good.
We have you.
Brendan was, it was during the Whale screening, so 3 years ago, a couple years ago actually, and I just kept thinking like, wow, he has such a depth in his performance, especially through that movie. And I watched so many of his movies growing up, and always big fan. But that movie was really touched me in a deeper way. But what really made me decided that he's the boy that I love to work with was after it, and it was after there's a Q&A. And he got COVID, and he couldn't come to the Q&A to do this. So he was on the screen, like literally like giant screen like this. And he was like a god, right? Like, hi, everyone. And I was watching from the back, and I saw him, and I just felt it in my heart. I was like, wow, he's so nice, he's so kind, he's so charming, and he's so charismatic. And there's something about that, how he really treats his crew and cast members. I just felt like he's such an incredible human being, and I just wanted to talk to him. And that's the quality I was looking for in Philip. Even though, Brendan himself, he may have had a little bit of, break in between, and he focused on his family, children, but I don't know, there's something about who he is as a person just really resonated. And I kind of listened to my gut, and next day, we had a script that was written for a younger actor. I rewrote it and then sent it to his agent. Oh, wow. Yeah, and then he was like, he would love to meet, so we met a couple months after,
did he speak Japanese?
He now does. He didn't at all.
He did not.
He did not. And, but he really, sorry, I just put a lot of red lip.
That's all right.
He wants to buy it. We can sell it with eBay.
We're fundraising for the
exactly
film
for Santa
Center.
Barbara Film Festival. Thank you. I forgot the question.
It's about him learning Japanese.
Japanese,
he didn't know Japanese. Yeah,
he took lesson for about ended up being like 6 months, like 3 times a week, on and off, He just learned, he wanted to learn basic Japanese to say hi, hello, good night, just basic stuff. But then once we gave him a script, he just took the Japanese lesson with, I provided him a Japanese coach, dialect coach, so he'll practice, with her, and she'll be on set, so if he has any questions, we can work on it. But he was such a hard worker, and he was so dedicated, too, that he just wanted to really feel like he's been here for he'll be in Japan for 7 years. And
tell me about working with the great, one of my favorite actors, Akira Emoto.
Oh, yes.
76-year-old legend.
Yeah.
And he actually gets to speak a lot of English
in
this film. I didn't know he spoke English.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
He does not speak English at all. Same thing. He really was, he loved the script, and he auditioned. He never auditions.
This is a legend.
He's a legend.
And you're like auditioning a legend.
But yeah, their studio was like, for American studio, they don't know who they are, right? So just wanted to make sure that the language has been passed. So I got to see 3 really legendary actors too. But Akira Emoto was somebody I always wanted to work with. I watched growing up. It's kind of like he's like a Michael Caine, He's that level. Yeah. And he came in and he did the audition, and I was just literally crying. I had him do the, digging the pot scene, and that was incredible. And he's such he cares so much about the role, about the experience as being an actor, because he's actor playing an actor. And he really took it to the heart. And it was, I can talk about him forever. One thing it's really cute though, can I share? So at the UK, we had a London premiere like 2 weeks ago or so. I took him there. He never seen the movie. And so he sat next to me, and I'm thinking like, he's gonna like it. Like, what he's gonna do? Like, I'm like, the whole time I'm like looking at him over his shoulder. When it was done, you know, he has a little smile, and so I was like, what do you think? And he goes, I think I can do better. And I was like, okay. And he's like, if I watch a movie in 5 years, maybe I have a different opinion about my performance. But right now, I'm a little shy. Yeah, so it's so cute.
Well, he's terrific. Yeah. Totally terrific. Tell me about the wedding sequence, the gay, the gay couple. Is that a common thing in Japan still?
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's a sad, actually, fact. If you are queer but gay men, it's a little bit more accepted than lesbian couple men. Yeah, than lesbian girls. And it's because in our culture, kabuki theater, men plays what women, right? It's kind of like a Shakespeare, and it's still to this day. Man, becomes a woman. So the idea of male dressing up like a woman or, being in a relationship, it just never is not questioned. I mean, talk about marriage, it might be a different story, but the lesbian couple especially has always been something that people, really all my girlfriends, always been harassed and, even by the police officers. And I hear such a nightmare story. So I was like, I don't know, for me, it's like, we all exist, right? Every single person in this movie, it's just us. Like, there's nothing different about any of it. They're just in love. They want to be together. And so in a way, for me, is for, again, Japanese audience or people who are quite not ready to accept, same-sex marriage. And then I wanted to see these guys are real. They want to really put their foot down and say, we want to be together, no matter what it takes, correct, how much it costs. So I wanted to bake it into my movie and just give them the life that they may not have. And hopefully with this, it works. And then the reason why he says Canada, too, is because Canada, right when we're shooting, just open up and say gay marriage is like totally legal. People who are LGBTQ couple can move to Canada, get married and all that stuff. So I thought it was phenomenal. So he used to be a Scottish, and I had a Scottish accent. But then turned out Brendan's also from Canada. So it kind of worked out.
Yeah. I have friends that work in film in Japan, and they tell me horror stories about permitting and shooting.
Oh my God.
And I was wondering, how difficult was it for you to?
Oh yes, it's when you go to locations, you kind of have to have like 4 backups. That's kind of like
4 backups.
Yeah,
I mean,
at least
like script, like.
No, location-wise.
Location.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have one that you love, chances are you're probably not going to be able to shoot there. So have 2 or 3 or third backup, and it's because Japan is such a honoring system, right? So if there's a 200 people, we shot a lot in the apartment area, and every single apartment, my production guys are putting letters into mailbox and knocking on the door and say, hey, we're going to be shooting here. Are you okay with it? And if that one person says no, we can't shoot there. So they do that. That's their job. And there are moments that we're shooting, and there's one person said, no, you cannot put the track here with the little crane, which I still think about it. I have a nightmare to this day that I wanted to do that sweeping shot that I couldn't do.
And you're okay with the shifting?
I mean, at that point, what do? You just have to do it, right? And then I think it kind of questioned me or ask myself, it's like, all right, what else? I had this idea for such a long time, but I really quickly have to shift my mind and say, what else can we do? What can we shoot that still makes it same impact or same idea of what the scene is about? but interesting enough, or sometimes it's just like you just have to do it, you know. But kind of give me a exercise to how my brain kind of quickly, you know, have to choose.
And last question, I admire how where you place your camera in this tiny little you know, rooms. You know, in his apartment, there is practically no room for a camera. And then in the office also. But it looks, I mean, just tell me how you manage the camera in such tight spaces.
Sure. I think for me, I used to be a photographer, and I used to do a little bit of cinematography. And so camera is everything for me. I am very close to what kind of focal length, wide lens, where do I want to put cameras is kind of always so important for me. More so than anything, actually. And I just kind of like to put the camera where people usually don't feel like they can be. You know, when you're talking to somebody, like you can't talk like this.
Correct.
So I put the camera right there. I kind of pick those places. And again, wide lens to close up, you know, long lens. But I kind of stay on the wider lens when we're in the smaller spaces. Yeah. Oh, I can talk about this forever, and I know you guys have to go home. But yeah, camera is really big part of this storytelling, and then also.
And I notice you evaded too many close-ups. Like you're not invasive. In your style.
Yeah, and you know, I usually actually do more of a close-up, to even closer. I like extreme close-up, which I really didn't do on this one. And I love extreme wide shot.
And why did you evade in this one?
It almost was like, it wasn't unnecessarily, I felt. I make shot list. When I made shot list and I was looking at, after I see Brendan's performance or the other character's performance, and I was like, I want to do this very close up, but do I need it? No, we don't need it. Let's just move on. You know, there's so many other stories that I wanted to tell. I guess the ideas that I was coming up from. So rather than, you know, every camera, every lens is additional, you know, how many hours, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, at least a half an hour. So I just kind of decided not to use it because Brendan has, I mean, all the characters has such a, you know, you can feel the emotion so much even through the little, you know, viewfinder I was looking at.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe we don't need that. Maybe I'll save that visual storytelling for something else.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we need a film like yours right now. You know,
Thank you. Thank you.
Taught about empathy.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're a delight. Thank you for being
so
here.
Much. And if I may say one last thing, sorry, I'll make it very quick.
Okay, no problem.
I always say this: we all come from a different place. Like I said, you know, right now it's a very difficult time. I think there's a lot of dividing happening, but just know that you have people that you can rely on to, even though your family member maybe not exactly the way you're giving you. Just take a step back and say, you know, thank you for giving me life, thank you for doing this, but really take a time to look who you are surrounded by, because those are the people who's gonna help you, you know, and listen to you, whether you're related or not. And for me, also, again, one of the messages I wanted to share was divine being is within you. So you're the divine being. Listen to your heart. No matter what it is, there's always going to be there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So I just want you guys to remember that. So
well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Arigato. Thank you.